Hi guys, this is Suzanne HB of Crazy Just Might Work on Instagram, and today's tutorial will be on a few of the varieties of the Teeny Tiny Bracelet series that I've been creating over the last little while. This is the original Teeny Tiny Bracelet, which I've done a tutorial on already. So the feature of that is this kind of triangular shape running up the front, and from the side you've got the triangular shape and a fishtail look on the back, and the fishtail makes it sit nice and flat on your wrist, even though it's a really tiny, well, teeny tiny bracelet that sits on your wrist that way. So I've got quite a few variations that I've been working on that have this distinctive, what I call it, the teeny tiny look. So all these bracelets somewhere have this sort of triangular look, and from the side you do get a little bit of a ridged sort of feature. All of these bracelets tend to need a little bit of, just a little tiny bit of playing with when you finish them off, so that you can pull them out. And I'm going to go through each one step by step, but they are all using a similar technique to get this look. So what I'll do is I'll run through that first, and then I'll take you over the looping steps for each of the variations. First up, very quickly, I'll just show you the variations that we're going to look at today, and ones that will be coming in another tutorial, because I think there's probably just a couple too many to do in this just one tutorial. This one's the original Teeny Tiny. Okay, now in comparison, the next one we'll look at is what I'm calling the Teeny Tiny Flex. Now the Teeny Tiny Flex is very similar to the Teeny Tiny, except instead of the fishtail at the back, we've got more like a single chain look, and the reason I call it a flex is that it's a much softer bracelet, but it does still sit nicely on your wrist, particularly if you use something like silicons, metallics, something like that, or the Persian bands. So in comparison, this one doesn't have the same openness about it. This one's much more open, so I'm calling it the Flex. It is much more flexible. So the next one that we'll look at is what I called the Teeny Tiny Twin. So as you can see, we've got two layers of the teeny tiny look, one either side, and it actually sits on your wrist like that. So you have these ridged ones running opposite each other, going up the sides. Okay, so again, that's quite a nice little bracelet. It sits nicely on your wrist that way. Alright, so that's the Teeny Tiny Twin. Then we have another one of the flexes. So this is actually the, let's see if I can turn it the right way. This is the Teeny Tiny Twin Flex. So it's basically the Teeny Tiny Twin looping, but one step is different, and it's got that open feature. It's much more flexible bracelet. Again, got that teeny tiny look. It's alternating in this case, but it's got that flex in it, so it's the Teeny Tiny Twin Flex. It gets so confusing, we're going to have to start to call them the TT series. The next one we'll look at is the Teeny Tiny Double. Now this one is one that you would have seen on my Instagram page if you watched that. It's one I've made for my husband to wear, and what it has is the twin rows of the Teeny Tiny running down, which is why I call it double, because it's basically a double up, and it also has quite a solid fishtail running up the back, so it gives it a much denser look. My husband liked wearing this one. Okay, so that's a little bit of a difference again. Then we have the, I'm calling this one Teeny Tiny Steps. It's got a similar look to the Teeny Tiny Twin Flex with the alternating ridged parts, but this is actually done on 3 pins, and if you turn it over, you can't wear it reversibly, it wants to flip over, but it's a tighter band, because we've actually got the band stretched over 3 pins, and you get this ridge of single chain running up the back there. So again, that one's just a sort of a denser one, but it does have that nice little teeny tiny effect running up it. Okay, next one, which I won't do in this tutorial because it's just getting a bit big. I'll do it a separate one. This one's called Teeny Tiny Edges, because as you can see, the teeny tiny effect, that triangular kind of shape with the ridges, is running along the top edge and the bottom edge, and this one is reversible, and you get the different colours basically mirror reversing on the opposite sides. So that's a really kind of cute one as well. It's done on 6 pegs, and it's a little bit fiddlier than the others, but it gives you a lovely effect. Another one again is the tripled teeny tiny bracelets. So instead of having instead of having one piece ridge here, it has 2 ridges. This one doesn't sit as well in the standard teeny tiny. It does sit okay, but not as well. But as a flex bracelet, it actually sits quite nicely with the extra ridges running along there. So whether I fit this one into this tutorial or do a separate tutorial, I may just try and show you how to do that in the flex thing, because it's really just one extra twist when you're doing the split cap band making. One last one, and this one I have to give credit to my nephew Ben. He was looming with me yesterday, and we were just talking about the Teeny Tiny series and how I wanted to do a tutorial on it, and he said, so I showed him how I was doing the Teeny Tiny series, and so he suggested this way of doing it. He said, what about if you did this, and then you did this, and then you... So anyway, I'm calling this a collaboration. It's got the teeny tiny effect, and then we worked out together how we would make this one, and it comes up as a really cute 3-way. It's basically a triple fishtail, but with the teeny tiny effect running in a spiral. If you can follow the thing, it sort of runs in a spiral effect up, or if you look at one particular side, you can see it every couple of layers. It's got the teeny tiny. So that's, again, a little bit more solid bracelet, but still very, very dainty in size, and you just get that really cute effect. So that one is actually going to be called, and it was named by Ben, the Teeny Tiny Tripod Twister, because it's on 3 pegs and it sort of twists its way, the tripod teeny tiny effect twists its way up that tripod, and when you pull on it, you actually get the ridges being more prominent and sort of a little bit of an in and out effect. So enough with the descriptions, I hear you say, and let's get on with the looming. Alright, I'm assuming that you have looked at my Teeny Tiny bracelet, the original, but what I'm going to do is just give you a quick run through on each one as we go. There are several setups you can use for this, because most of them only have 2 or 3 pegs that you're working on. The exception to that is the Teeny Tiny Edges one. So, excuse me. So one of your options is to turn this sideways and use these pegs and loop up from the side, as you might want to do on a fishtail. Another option is to, sorry, pardon, my light's going funny there. Another option is to use these 2 pegs and again sort of loop from the front and over. I will do a majority of them this way. I think it's a little bit easier to do, and I'll be able to sort of turn it so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'll show you the setup for the 3 pin ones as we get to those. Alrighty, after that long preliminary, I'm sorry about that, I'll show you the basics of the Teeny Tiny design. Now, if you've done the Teeny Tiny original band, you'll know that basically it's a split cap band. So you do the band like you're going to cap it for a double cap band, but you hang on to it. Take it to the next peg and figure 8 twist it over to the other side. Now if you do that for the Teeny Tiny original band, you would do that. You would then grab your next colour, do the same thing, twisting it on the same side and over again. And then on this second band, you would take the double looped side up and over, push down. Then you would get another band of the same colour if you're doing alternating bands, which looks really cute on this. You would then do, and I'm sorry if my hand gets in the way, this twisting does make it difficult to demonstrate. Okay, you do another double twist on here, figure 8 one over there. So now you have 3 single bands on this side, you have the 2 on that side, and from then on in, every time you twist a band on, you lift 2 over that side and 1 a different colour over that side. Okay, and that's how you get the fishtail effect this side and the teeny tiny triangle effect on that side. Alright, so here's where the first variation comes in. Instead of doing it exactly that way, you start it in the same way. So the first band is twist around, lift it over and figure 8 it. So you have 2 loops on this side, 1 loop on this side, and second band contrasting, again looped around, 2 loops on one side, 1 loop on the other side. And in this case, we just start looping straight over because this is not going to have a fishtail, it's just going to have a normal standard chain on this side, and it gives it a more open effect. So this one will give the teeny tiny, this one will turn out to be, excuse me for getting in the way of my light, this one will turn out to be the teeny tiny flex with the open chain, or open chain at the back. So that's all there is to this one. Just every time you lay a band, you loop up both sides, and this one will be looping up the same colour each time. So again, every time you loop up, you've got 2 double capped, 2 single capped, loop up the bands of the same colour. And that's what will grow into that teeny tiny flex, the first original one, but with a looser look to it. Alrighty. So I'm hoping that giving you these little tips means that you'll just follow that pattern over and over. It's around like that, because it's really like just a straight single chain, except for this twisting looping bit. Alright, so teeny tiny flex. You can see on this side you start to get that triangle shape, and on this side you'll have an open chain. Okay. The next one we're going to look at is the teeny tiny twin, which ends up looking like this, with things sort of looking the opposite, mirror imaged in a different colour on each level. Okay, so the way we do this is we get, okay, let's use some wildly contrasting colours. Now in this example, sorry for wobbling, in this example we're going to start exactly the same way, doing the twist, like you're going to, if you let it go, you'd have a double looped, double capped band there, and figure 8 twist it to that side. Then for the next one, you have to develop a slightly different wrist action. Now you can either turn around and work on it this way and do your twist, sort of twist action the same way, because you're going to be putting the double side of the double looped side on this side, and then the single on this side for this one. Or you can, terribly sorry, or you can develop a new way of doing it. So you can, from the side, I recommend you put your fingers in it like this to do your first cap band. While you've still got hold of it, you can swing it over, and I know this is difficult to see, swing it over and hook it over to that side. Right. Okay, so after that step, you actually take the double looped band on the bottom and loop it up. Push down. So I found doing it 2 different colours was easy because you remembered which one looped on which side, and it looks cute and it's nice opposite each other. So on this side you'll have a double looped band there, twisted across, and once you've got 3 on this side and 2 on this side, just 2 colours we'll talk about, because this has actually got more loops, more than 3 loops, but it's got 3 colour layers, so it has 2 colour layers. You actually just loop up those and push down, and it will look a little bit weird to start with until it starts pulling down. Okay. So for the next layer, we're going to have again the double loop will be this side. So however you want to loop it is okay. You can even let it go on a double loop and take this one up and over this way. Oops. So you do it like a cap band, and then you go either up and over that way, or maybe it would be easy to do up and over that way and get your loop on that way, and then you loop this side up and this side over. So you'll see in this one, which again is the Teeny Tiny Twin, you're actually looping the single bands over together and the double bands over together, just of different colours, and that will give you the mirror imaged opposite colours. So on this side you can see our single is the purple, so we'll be doing in the green a double on that side. So we do a double, figure 8 twist, looping one up, one over, and you'll see that it's a purple on that side, a teal on this side. Push down. We've got the double twist on this side, so we need to do a double twist on the opposite side. And again, however you get it on there is fine. Sorry, I keep moving out of camera shot. However you get it on there is fine. You just develop your own way of doing it. And as I said, you can do it from the top. You can turn your loom around, whatever you like to do. And you'll be lifting 2 bands off there and 2 bands off that side. So you can just start to see, as these ones come out, where the 2 bands are, you'll get that little ridgy bit starting to pop out. And as this next one comes out, those 2 will pop out, the little ridgy bits as well. So you have those as opposite. So again, we've got a single band on this side, so we're going to do the double. Always a double on this side in one colour, looping up and over, looping the 1 band this time. Push down. And on the opposite side, doubling it this side, either moving it this way or this way, doesn't really matter, or doing a double cap and then making the figure 8 with one of those with the hook, lifting 2 over that side, lifting 2 over that side. Again, when you come down here, you need to do little tweaks, make sure those bits are pulling out, but you can start to see how that's going to form into the mirror image double-sided Teeny Tiny Twin. Alright, so if you're not sure of that, please go back to the beginning of this section and run through it again. Okie doke. So next one we're going to look at is the Teeny Tiny Twin Flex. So basically, as with the other one, the other flex, we'll be looping this before we've got 3 on one side. We'll just be looping when there's 2 colours on each side, and it gives you the alternating colours, and it's quite a flexible band. I'm actually making this one for my husband for tomorrow to go with his outfit, so I'm going to be using these colours, and I'll just show you on the monster tail so that I can then take the monster tail away and use it to continue making this bracelet for tomorrow when I finish this tutorial. Okay, so this one has the same looping pattern. You have a double this side, single that side, then alternating with double that side, single that side, but we don't wait until we don't loop one up and have 3 on this side and 2 on that side. We're just looping as soon as we've got 2 coming up. So let's have a look how that starts on this one. And then this is sort of demonstrating you can do it on the monster tail, you can do it on anything that's got 2 pegs. Alright, so I find this is quite easy to use because you can move it around as you're trying to do your twists. Hopefully it doesn't make you seasick watching this. Alright, so we've got double twist that side, single that side. Moving it around so we have the double twist that side, and in this case it's easy to go under, single twist that side. So for this one, as soon as you've got the 2 bands, or the 2 layers I should say, on there, grab the bottom bands and pull them over. So you'll be looping the same band up and over, rather than the alternating colours and the alternating numbers of bands. You'll just be looping up the same colours over themselves. Alright, so again, just so that you've straight on this, because this one's very straightforward. Loop around, make that figure 8 onto the other one, so there's double there, single there. Oh, sorry about that clatter. And loop this side and the same colour, the opposite side. So we've got the double band on the left there, so we're going to grab our other colour and grab that over to that side. Oops. Or we can just do it with our hook. Okay, looping up the bottom bands. So this is one of the simplest options you have, and you'll end up with the ridges sticking out one side and then the other side and the other side and the other side, and alternating colours. Right, so I'll do that a couple more times because this one's a really straightforward one. It won't take you long to catch on. So this one's called the Teeny Tiny Twin Flex. Would you need to remember the names, but I tried to make it descriptive. Okay, so it's very straightforward. So as with all these bands, the only real trick with this one is getting the hang of looping that twist and the figure 8. And the rest is pretty straightforward. And they're such tiny little bands. Alright, that's starting to form a little bit, so I'll see if I can show you. Now, these ones that tuck themselves in, let's give them a little pull. You can kind of correct it as you go, but I find that it's actually faster to just tug them all down at the end. It's much easier once you've got it off the loom, but you're getting the idea, I'm sure. So that now forms these kind of little loops. You get the loop and the ridge, the loop and the ridge on either side, and that actually sits like that to wear it. So that's a Teeny Tiny Twin Flex. Okay, this is the first one that has a slightly strange setup on the loom. We're going to be using these 3 pegs, and we want the band to form down here. So I've got the looping for these 2, we'll be looping up and over this way, and the looping for this one will be looping from the back and over into the middle. So I found that it was easiest to set it up with 2 pin bars running this way and flipping one of the other pin bars around the other way and positioning it there. I'll go back to my purple and teal contrast so that you can see how this one is working out. Now this one starts in much the same way, except you're going to be looping it from here to here and from here to here, and you're going to have 2 layers on this peg and 2 layers on this peg, and you're going to have the 3 layers on this peg. For the teeny tiny steps, I've found 2 ways of doing this setup. You're going to need 3 pegs, but set in an odd way. This has the peg or the pin bar that's got the arrow facing towards you. The middle one will be closer. Normally when it's a staggered position, that peg will be back there. So you need to bring that forward, or you can use the end 3 of a monster tail, because as you see it sits with that one forward like that, and that's actually quite an easy way of doing this as well. If you do have a monster tail, I probably recommend it using the monster tail, because you've got to stretch one band with twists over these 3, and it probably makes it slightly easier. But I'll show you on the rainbow loom, and you'll be able to easily convert it to the monster tail facing that way. Okay, so we're going to be going from here to here and here to here. So I take 1 layer, and it's exactly the same action again. We do like you're going to do a cap band, except now that passes up onto that one there. And on the opposite side, you do the cap band layer, and whichever way you want to do it. I tend to go around behind, but it makes my hand get in the way, so I apologise for that. But however you get it on there, whether you turn it around, whatever, you need to get it on there. Push those ones down, because we're not going to start looping until we've got 2 layers on the front. On this band, I haven't alternated side to side, because the twin will actually run down side by side, and the fishtail will be the one that'll have the multiple colours on it. So you grab the same colour that you used on this side, loop it down the same way. So double, and you can loop it that way. Really doesn't matter all that much. Really depends on what you're most comfortable with. Once you've got those ones on, you now have 2 layers on each of these front 2 pegs. So it's 2 twists or 2 loops on that side, 2 loops on that side. Bring it up. We're not going to loop this back one yet. It's got 4 bands on it, which I'll consider 2 layers. That's 1 layer there, and that's 1 layer there. Okay. So we push down, lay another layer with the purple, and with the teal. Sorry if I'm going terribly slow for you, I just didn't want anybody to get confused, so please feel free to fast forward me if I'm going too slow. So again, we've got 2 layers on the front, we're going to loop those, but now we have 3 layers or 6 bands. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to get the bottom 2 bands on there and loop those up, because that's going to become our fishtail. Okay, and push those down. And again, now that we've got the number of bands on there, each layer is going to be exactly the same. Now that we've built up to the level where we can start that fishtail, each layer is going to be the same. The twisting just 2 loops on those 2 bands on this middle one. Okay, so I'll do that once more. Sorry about moving around. I've been moving my iPad around to try and find the best spot and the best light, but I'm not sure I'm actually getting it. So bottom layer, 2 loops, bottom layer, 2 loops. So there'll always be 2 loops on this layer, so that means every layer will have that little teeny tiny effect ridge. Grab those bottom 2 and lift them up and over. So you can just probably vaguely see if we stretch it out a little bit, me cheating, you can just see that these, when you pull them out, will actually form. Again, it's much easier once you've got to the end of it, but where they've tucked under here, you just pull those out and they'll become the ridges, and you'll have 2 twin layers running down the front. Turn it up the right way. 2 twin layers running down the front, and you'll have that fishtail forming at the back in these colours. So behind there, there'll be a fishtail forming. I wonder if we can see it if I turn it over. You can just, or maybe starting to see a fishtail forming there, or maybe not. So you just continue exactly that pattern, and you'll get this one. What I would recommend is giving them a decent stretch on the way down to make sure that you're getting the correct length of the bracelet before you complete it, so give it a bit of a stretch. And the last one I think I'll show on this tutorial is the Teeny Tiny Steps, and this again uses 3 pegs. So let's have a little bit of fun with the colours on this last one, since it's the last one for the tutorial. I hope some of you have lasted out this long. We're going to use some electric blue and some glitter blue, Rainbow Loom brand. I do recommend Rainbow Loom brand for this one, the stretchy ones, because you are going to get quite a stretch on your bands. Okay, so this one is slightly easier in some ways because you use your hook to actually loop it up. So in this case, you're going to do the same thing as far as the twist, but you're going to twist across and straight across, no loop on it. Okay, so you've got a double loop that side and a single loop that side. Then with your hook, you grab the opposite side and bring it over to that front peg. So in some ways a little bit less complicated. You grab your next colour band and you do on that side, and without a twist, heading over to the other side. So again, you might prefer to do that with your making a double cap and just stretching it across to the other side, whichever is easiest for you. Grab the opposite side, bring it down. Okay, once you have 2 on there, you just loop up the bottom ones. So on this one, it'll be 1, 1, and double. And when you go the opposite way, it'll be double sitting on this side and looping up the other ones. Okay, so again, you can do it as a cap band, do the cap, and then all you need to do is grab one of those, pull it over there, and stretch that down and over. As soon as you've got 2 layers, you're going to be grabbing 2 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Now doing this on the monster tail, it'll form and drop straight through the monster tail. This is still okay because you can just, it's a small bracelet, you can just let it tuck out the side. It won't affect it too badly. Not a problem. Right, so we've got double loop on that side. So we head to the other side for the next step. So again, if you want to, you've got that cap band, give a bit of a stretch, take it over the other side, and grab that far band and bring it over. Loop up, one, and double. So that's really all you need to do. Slightly different in its form. Oh, better use the correct bands, hey. Slightly different in the way it's formed, but it's still got that distinctive teeny tiny twist in it, which makes a cute pattern. So again, just looping up one layer, 2, 1, 1, push down, double loops this side and across, grabbing there, looking it over, and grabbing that bottom layer again. Two on that side, 1 and 1. So that's all there is to this band. I don't know if it's big enough for you to actually get a look at what's happening over here. Just sort of start to see it's going to form layers with this on one side and then step up to this on the other side and then step up to one on the other side, and it'll do a stepping up and down with the little ridge sections. And it'll have then the, no, you probably can't see it, but it's this small. It'll just have like a chain running up the back in the middle. It just makes it a slightly denser bracelet to wear because the other ones are quite delicate. This one's a little bit denser and has that sort of stepped effect. Okay, if there's anything else you need to know, please send me a message on Instagram, or I'd love to see all your posts of your teeny tiny bracelets. They are so quick and easy to do. I think the smallest one, the Teeny Tiny Flex, uses about 25 bands for my wrist, which is a sort of a smallish to medium adult wrist, and I think the largest one used like 70 bands or something like that. It really uses a very small amount of bands because they're so little, but they've just got that little twist to them, which means that they're not just sort of plain and boring chains. Alright, I hope this has been helpful and hasn't stretched out too long, and I'll be sure to post a tutorial on the teeny tiny edges and also a on the teeny tiny tripod twister. Try saying that 3 times fast. Alright guys, happy looming. Bye.